Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. Graduates, from where I stand, you present an impressive and impressively beautiful interdisciplinary site. Women, men, non-binary persons, engineers, political scientists, anthropologists, journalists, environmentalists, economists, psychologists, biologists, chemists, physicists, sociologists, educators, linguists, artists, and historians. You hail from more than 30 states and more than 30 countries, representing a great collage of ethnicities, races, and religions. You speak so many languages, languages of people, languages of science, languages of scholarship. Frankly, you're a bit intimidating. This magnificent site is a reality that I should have anticipated when President Fox asked me to speak. At first, I was deeply moved. Then I was hugely excited. And then I was terrified beyond words. I have written over 100 articles and chapters, a couple of books, edited another few. I've been giving speeches as an academic for decades. And I have come closer to writer's block in composing this speech than practically any other. Reading some of the best graduation speeches, a suggestion made for inspiration instead caused much perspiration. It was too late to back out, so I went to one of my guides, the Buddhist teacher and scholar Pema Chodron. She recognizes that fear can be paralyzing. But fear itself says, if you don't do as I tell you, I have no power. So to take fear's power away, I sought to ground my words in my own life. In my own life experience, my own 3 commencements from Cornell, Albany, and NYU. The year that I graduated from Cornell, my brother was graduating high school, so Mom and Dad flipped a coin to see who went where. That was not a small enterprise because they were in the Netherlands, where my dad was heading up the office, the Dutch office of a big US corporation. Dad won the flip of the coin and he traveled. He proudly arrived in Ithaca. We graduates, as was traditional, lined up in the art squad. Dad was so proud. You see, my dad is from very humble beginnings. So very humble. I cried the first time I returned to Cuba, the place of my birth, and saw where he had grown up. A garbage-strewn, poverty-riddled inner city with dilapidated buildings, aimless souls, and mangy dogs. He is so smart, so very, very smart, that his first boss saw his potential and encouraged him to go to university, where he met my mother, and the rest is a beautiful love story. But I'm getting ahead of myself. After lining up in the quad, the desfile, the processional, the academic processional, took us to Barton Hall, Cornell's historic but small field house. Graduation's overflow crowd meant my dad had no room. He did not get to see my graduation. All during the ceremony, while Dale Corson, then president of Cornell, spoke his wise words and cheered our achievements, all I could think of was my dad, somewhere outside, not seeing me graduate. There is a good end to the story. My dad wrote a warm yet well-argued letter expressing his deep disappointment. A couple of years later, the graduation venue was changed to Skokov Field, the football stadium where hopefully no more dads or moms were ever left out again. At my Albany Law School commencement, when the dean announced that I was graduating with honors, the faculty member handing out the diplomas not only dropped his jaw, he dropped my diploma. So on my way back to my seat, as you will walk today, I remembered other similar incidents. In high school, when I applied for early admissions to Cornell at the insistence of my headmaster in Puerto Rico, only to receive a letter, nicely written, informing me that early admissions was only for boys. At Cornell, going to a career counselor to receive guidance with respect to applications to law school, only to be told that I really didn't want to go to law school, that I should go into teaching and return back home to help my people. 2 notes on that. 1, at the time I had no clue what he meant. I think I get it now. 2, he was right, though I think law school teaching was not what he had in mind for me. Mabie missing my graduation, the faculty members' shock that someone like me, a Latina, was graduating with honors, early admissions being only for boys, going back home to teach my people. You might think these are painful memories, but for me they were just puzzling events, statements about the way things are, about the status quo. I have learned that the status quo is not a neutral position. It internalizes the way things are and blinds us from exploring how things should be. It normalizes subordination and injustice. My experiences were puzzling and not painful because they reflected my own unquestioning acceptance of the status quo, the way things are. Yet they triggered something in me, at first inarticulable, but then overwhelmingly strong, that made me the person I am today. I am always in search of the way things should be. Soy yo. This is who I am. Which gets me to your own transitions. Today, you stand at a majestic threshold. You can take the easy road and affirm the status quo, or you can make a bold leap of faith. Whenever you are faced with such decisions, my hope for you is that you say, soy yo. What does this look like, though, now that you are doctors? Doctors is what you are, but it's not who you are. Who you are, your soy yo, will decide your journey through transitions. Transitions, the big and the small. How you respond to the status quo. I've thought about the transitions in my life that shaped quien soy yo. I've shared some bits with you. Let me share a few more. I was born in Cuba. My mom went to Havana to study because it was the home to Cuba's only university at the time. There, at 17, she met my dad, a poor and brilliant kid from the inner city, an unlikely pair whose love lasted for 73 years until my dad passed away at age 90. My brother and I came along, as did Castro, which led to our leaving the island, a first transition in my life. On my desk, I keep a piece of paper that has bubbles with major personal transitions scared on it. My soy yo story. The first bubble notes a memory of our first days in Miami. It captures an image that is as clear today as it was decades ago. My mom, who had been a high-ranking diplomat in Cuba, kneeling by the tub of the motel where we were staying, washing out my little brother's diapers. A diplomat, which she was, washing diapers. Who she was, a diplomat mommy. I did not know this then, but I understand it now. It is who we are that matters. I learned English, we moved to Puerto Rico where I went through high school, during which events provide a second bubble on my piece of paper. Mommy had premenopausal breast cancer, back when all the inventions, medications, and technologies of today did not exist. It was a scare, but you can smile. She just turned 94. So off to college I went, Cornell. At the same time, my folks made their move to Europe. This is the time to tell you that arriving in college, I had absolutely no clue that I was different because I am Latina. And the next bubble is part of the learning that I experienced, how different I was. I realized I like girls. Soy yo. Life went on. I went to law school where I was one of 32 women and one of 8 persons of color out of 280 students in my class. I worked in the United States Department of Justice, where I was the only Latina in the antitrust division. Little by little, I was finding who I am. The self-discovery and the discovery of American culture, my soy yo process, fueled my flames of justice seeking. Understanding that I am a multifaceted individual, that all disciplines matter in making this world a better place, and that only interdisciplinarity can solve the intricate concerns that we face as humans. We are all complex, what I call multidimensional beings. Mabie diplomats do diapers. We all have a culture, a race, a sex, a gender, a language, an ethnicity, a sexuality, a level of education, a fluid socioeconomic status. All these markers frame the discovery of who we are. ¿Quién soy yo? That takes me to a double bubble at the end of that piece of paper on my desk, which continues to be a work in progress. It was the learning about grief, loss, and beautiful recovery. Before marriage equality, I lost my partner of over 20 years to a short but incredibly cruel battle with cancer. The funeral home was not going to let me make arrangements because in their eyes, we were strangers. So I used my tools. I had a power of attorney. That, of course, died when she died, but the funeral home did not know that. So I showed them the power of attorney. I made the arrangements. An unconventional challenge to the status quo, perhaps, but soy yo. I thought there would be no more chapters in my book of life, that I'd live my status quo, but I was wrong. I met my now wife, Vivian, someone with a similar experience, and we became quick friends. And now, with marriage equality, we are happily married and have 3 great kids, Nicolai, Nadal, and Natalia. Tengo muchos, soy yo. Law, particularly constitutional law and international human rights, are my tools to raise awareness about the deep privations many experience at home as well as around the world. Your knowledge in your respective disciplines, engineering, anthropology, biology, chemistry, economics, physics, journalism, religion, languages, history, art, and so on, are your tools. They allow your soy yo. We all live in a world where we need all the tools available, all of your tools. At my Cornell and NYU graduations, the university presidents talked about the national problems at the time and the role of graduates in solving them. I listened. I have lived for public service ever since. Now it's your turn. You are graduating. There are many status quos that need dismantling. There are structural biases inherent in scientific methods, in research paradigms, in medical, social, educational, political, cultural, legal, and economic models. This is a soy yo moment for you. Crossing this threshold is your privilege to deploy the tools you have mastered, to dismantle the infirmities in your fields, and to be the catalyst for change. We have a world that needs much love. There are global migration crises caused by desperate conditions of privation. There are kids in cages. There are melting ice caps. There are disappearing species. There is racial, ethnic, and gender injustice. There are mysteries of the universe, like the nature of dark matter. There are the hungry and the poor. There are the marginable, my made-up word for the vulnerable and marginal. These and more are the challenges you are called to resolve. So doctors, with the tools that you have carefully crafted and refined at this spectacular institution, what are you going to do? Who are you going to be? What will you answer when you ask yourself, ¿Quién soy yo? Are you going to support the status quo, or are you going to change the status quo? How will you, as we say at UF, go greater? Really, is it even a choice? You have toiled hard and you have toiled long. In the process, I hope you have also partied hard and loved long. And now, as you walk through this magical threshold, remember, soy yo. Many, many congratulations. Felicidades.